Today we are talking all about problem behaviors, and I am answering and having a discussion about problem behaviors with our community manager, Kelsey General, who has taken my course in community years ago. She works for me as our community manager, and we're trying something new today, answering the top 5 behavioral questions in podcast number 171. Here's a short snippet from one of the questions and answers that come up so often. Welcome back to another video blog. I'm Dr. Mary Barbera, autism mom, behavior analyst, and best-selling author. Each week, I provide you with some of my ideas about turning things around. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you should do that now. Today, we are covering a short excerpt from 171, the podcast, which you can watch on my website at any time, or you can listen to it on any apps, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, you name it, we're there. And if you do love the podcast, wherever you're listening, or you do love my resources, my book, for instance, any really great reviews would be so helpful in helping me spread the word. Let's get to this excerpt from podcast 171 about problem behaviors.
So yeah, we can move on to question 2.
Okay.
And that one is all about being told no. Like when told no, my child flops to the ground and cries or gets aggressive, like hits me. How can we stop this?
Yeah. So it is tough. And in the beginning, when you're just learning what to do, to be as positive as possible, to be the giver, to be the yes man constantly, and not to say no constantly. You have to consider not only the child's age, but their developmental age. And learning rules and learning when they can have things and when they can't is kind of a tough concept. And so again, we're going to have to look at not just when told no, they drop to the ground, they become aggressive, time of day it happens. First of all, we usually ask if somebody says in our closed Facebook community, somebody says, my child, if I tell them no for candy, they drop to the ground and or lunge out, try to bite me or try to grab the candy or whatever. What should I do? Well, first of all, we need to know age, like chronologic age, but also their ability level. So telling, if this 3-year-old is functioning at a 9-month-old level, language level, they're going to understand less about candy later, or no, you can't have candy because you're allergic, or, so you even if you have a 15-year-old functioning at a 2-year-old level, they're not going to understand exactly when they could have it or why they can't have it or what the alternatives are. So we usually write back, say, what's the child's age, ability level, and how far into the courses are you? That's always the best thing to do, because these courses are laid out so that we can show you how to assess, how to plan, how to teach, and how to keep easy data so you can evaluate whether your teaching procedures are working. So every question we get can be funneled through the 4-step Turn Autism Around approach: assessment, planning, intervention, and evaluation. So it's not just about accepting no, it's really about how preventative are you? How much table time, if you're not doing any table time and all you're doing is trying to keep the peace, which I know is hard. If you have multiple kids, or if you're a teacher and you've got, 8 kids in your class and they all can't accept no, and nobody, they're all nonverbal and they're not potty trained, but the answer isn't to get them to learn, I said no. The real way we need to tackle this, any situation, whether it's at home or at school or in the community, is we need to teach the kids that we are a source of reinforcement. We are positive. We use 8 positives to every negative. We are the givers. We are not the takers. We are the yes people. We're not the no people. And so the child, when you do have to say no, is going to be more accepting of the situation. And one other thing is, if you do have to say no, that they can't have this, you should have alternatives there. And we talk in my book, Turn Autism Around, I talk about the shush, label, and give procedure. So if the child is screaming for candy and he's allergic to it, you can't have it, you don't have any, whatever the situation, it's another kid's candy from the table, for lunchtime at snack or whatever. You can still use the shush, label, and give, but you can't give the candy, but you can give an option of another thing the child will like, but you have to get quiet. You have to get the child quiet first before you start negotiating or offering other choices or trying to explain why they can't have it. So I know that's like a lot, and I want Kelsey to chime in here, but I think it's a bigger problem than just running an quote unquote accepting no program, which is not what we do.
Yeah. And I mean, you have a full video blog on this if people want more detailed information. But one thing I did when my kids were young was make my life easier and make their life easier. I mean, if you have knickknacks all around the house, and you're constantly saying, no, 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 don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. Yes, we want to teach a child that, but especially if you have a delayed child who's around 6 to 9 months old developmentally, or, you're working on an uphill battle. And for me, and what I try to tell clients is like, this is their home, this is your home. Let's try and also adjust the environment so you don't always have to say no. So you're not always harping on them. It's more, if you're always saying no to cookies and your cookie jar's on the counter, maybe we put the cookie jar in the cabinet, out of sight, out of mind. If it's always grabbing the remotes, put the remotes up high somewhere instead of on the coffee table, and also catching a child being good. So instead of, no, you can't jump on the couch. No, you can't do this. No, you can't. Okay. Oh, you're playing on the floor. You're jumping on the floor. That's great. Let's jump on the floor together. Let's dance on the floor. Wow, I really love how you're doing this. And praising what we want to see instead of always being like, no, no, no. Because often we get questions like, well, I'm telling my child no, and they're just laughing and continuing to do it too. And that's part of this is like, and then when you do have to say no, offering, like Mary said, choices. And if they do scream and cry, know that is also typical, whether your child has autism, is delayed or not. Kids are going to have tantrums. They're going to be upset sometimes. We can be there for them. That doesn't mean that we necessarily have to give it to them. Sometimes it's just, no, we can't have that. And that stinks. And I'm here for you, but we can't have that right now.
Right. And sometimes if kids really, get aggressive, first they cry.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, they'll start aggression or start flopping. Sometimes we have to actually, if you just ignore it, it's going to escalate to aggression or flopping or more dangerous situations. You might really want to intervene at crying.
Yeah.
And just like Kelsey's saying, like, be there for them, tell them, shh, come on, we'll give you some other options, but you got to calm down. Like, come on, this is not the end of the world. Let's calm down. And I know maybe behavior analysts are listening thinking, oh, I learned, keep the demand on, ignore. Like, we are intervening at a less intense behavior to try to cut it off and turn it around so that we can go back to being positive. And I like what you said about knickknacks. I remember I was on the phone one time with, a mom of typically developing kids, and she's yelling at them, screaming at them, I think threatening time out because they ran up her white carpet with muddy shoes. I'm like, oh my God, as you know, Lucas is literally taking a can of soda and dumping it on my family room carpet. It's like, if you've got knickknacks, you've got white carpet, use gates, get a fence. It don't have white carpet, outlet covers. I have a video somewhere in my course where a kid was kind of at outlet near the table. Move the table away from the outlet, get outlet covers, make your life a little easier. And then also remember that kids, especially if they're developmentally under the age of 5, which is really our focus here, right?
Yeah.
Even if they're chronologically older, I mean, my son is 25 years old and he's still functioning below an age 5 level of cognitive and language ability. If they're that, they're going to need a ton of attention and a ton of engagement and a ton of support. And so if they can't be, on iPads for hours a day, they can't be, left alone, because then you're going to have to put out a lot of fires. And I know that it's hard, but it's just the reality. I hope you enjoyed that short clip. If you want to watch the whole thing and get all 5 questions and 5 answers, go to marybarbera.com/171. And I will see you right here next week.